The government just announced Jamaica's first ever $1 trillion budget. That's right, trillion with a T. So what do they plan to do with all that money? I'm Kalila Reynolds, financial journalist and educator based in Jamaica. Now let's look at 5 of the most significant announcements from Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke in his opening presentation. Number 1, no new taxes. This is the 6th straight year without the government raising the tax rate or introducing new taxes. Now, I remember covering the budget in the past, and this was what we always used to watch out for. What are they gonna raise now? Higher GCT, more income tax? I'm not tired of tax, wait. Well, for the past 6 years, there have been no new taxes. And this is actually very impressive given that we've gone through COVID, the Ukraine war, recession, and now the government wants to spend $1 trillion this year without new taxes. Now, there was some controversy over this announcement of no new taxes, but I'll do a separate video on that, so look out. Number 2, Jamaica is about to have its lowest debt levels in 30 years. Yup, the lowest since before the financial crash of the 90s. That crash led to Jamaica's debt level jumping to over 100%, meaning Jamaica owed more than it was earning. And it set the ball rolling for decades to come, making us one of the most indebted countries in the world and sending us to the IMF multiple times. But according to Nigel, by next year, our debt to GDP ratio will be back to about 75%. Number 3, the government has set aside nearly $400 billion to pay public sector workers, and that's huge because A, it's more than half of the money that they've set aside for all their bills other than paying debt, and B, it's the most money allocated to pay public sector workers in a decade. It's all part of the restructuring of public sector wages, which you may have heard about in the news. Number 4, Students on Path, which is Jamaica's social welfare program, will no longer need a guarantor to get a student loan from the Student Loans Bureau. Awesome. And number 5, the government will partner with Jamaica University College to give full tuition scholarships to over 1,200 teachers in training in science, tech, engineering, arts, and math. And this will happen over the next 5 years. Another $2.4 billion will go to UTech for similar scholarships. All right, so those were my top 5 takeaways from Nigel's opening budget presentation. I'll cover the PM's speech and the opposition's response in other videos. What were your highlights? Let me know in the comments.